introducing Peter from LeaseConfirm.
Thanks, Rose. Thanks for having me. Welcome, everyone, and thank you. Before I start, can we see my screen? Can we just do a chat check? Just maybe say yes or thumbs up. Can you see my screen? Can you see the, oh, awesome. Thank you. I am Peter, the founder of LeaseConfirm. Today's session is called Tenant Risk and Leasing Smarter with LeaseConfirm, as you might have seen from the invite and the screen in front of you. We're especially excited to host this for the solo landlord community, but I also want to acknowledge the other landlords, property managers, and realtors who may have joined us from outside of solo. And finally, I would like to recognize our university ambassadors, student leaders who are helping us connect with student housing and ensuring that students can find safe, trusted rentals. So this is not just a webinar, it's a community coming together, making leasing smarter, safer, and more rewarding for all parties involved. And that's really what the heart of LeaseConfirm is. We didn't just build another tool, we built a trust framework, one that gives landlord peace of mind before signing a lease and motivates tenants to act responsibly after the lease is signed. And that comes from features that we will see as we go along. And that's the difference you will see today. Before we proceed, I'd like to start with some challenges that landlords face. Landlords face high processing costs, expensive background checks, and hours wasted on applications. Landlords deal with segmented tools. You know, you list your property on one end, you screen on another tool, you collect your rent on another tool, and then you manage your tenants somewhere else. And worst of all, you get inadequate reports, missing references, unreliable data to make decisions, credit reports that don't tell the full story, or they're just plain fraudulent and fake. And all that adds up to lost money, lost time, and lost peace of mind. And that's why we built LeaseConfirm. Landlords need smarter tools to simplify leasing and reduce risk, tools that save cost, make the process seamless, and remove the psychological fear of signing the potentially wrong tenant or just plain wrong tenant. That's exactly what we've created here. Let me share your story before I go into a journey map of LeaseConfirm. Let's take Sarah's story. Sarah owns 2 properties. She owns 2 rental units. Every time she gets an application for her units, she dreads it. And the background checks are expensive, applications are incomplete or just fake. And she always has this sinking feeling, what if I choose the wrong tenant? Most landlords go through that. And then Sarah finds LeaseConfirm. She listed her property in minutes. Tenants were screened using our feature, one called a tenant risk analyzer, which we'll show later, our TransUnion integration to be able to get full credit reports, and she can sign leases digitally. Now her tenants are motivated to pay rent on time because their payments build their impact their credit positively, or in the opposite direction if they don't pay rent, but we want them to pay rent so they pay and impact them positively, and they earn rewards while using LeaseConfirm. And Sarah, for the first time, sleeps easy, knowing she made the right choice. And here is how it works. Let me take you through a journey map of LeaseConfirm in 3 slides. The first thing as a landlord, so on what you can see in front of you, there are 2 sides to this coin, the landlord side and the tenant side. I'll stay on the landlord side because we're landlords here. As a landlord, you list your property quickly in our integrated platforms. You can screen tenants, like I said before. And then there are document exchanges that happen between you and the landlord. So at different times to ensure that you have all the information you need to make that final decision. In the next slide here, it's just another journey. You are able to pull tenant ranking, and to empower you to do that, tenants pull your rent themselves. Now that is one of the other cost saving features that we've been able to embed in here. The tenants who are applying to your property will pull their credit themselves. They don't get to download that. They send it directly to you. They don't get to fake it or forge it. And then you can use the information on that, plug it into our tenant risk analyzer, which also has some other financial data to be able to get your high, medium, or low risk tenant. Additionally, you're able to report rent to Equifax through LeaseConfirm, as we mentioned before. And you're also able to set up a pre-authorized payment system that enables your tenant to pay you rent monthly. So I said some of the things that are on this slide. So you can just see that this is another two-sided journey between a landlord and a tenant. LeaseConfirm is built in such a way that every action taken on a landlord side of things by a tenant, the landlord gets notice. Every tenant action on a tenant account by a landlord, the tenant gets a notice. So each account talks to each other. Now, talking very briefly on the tenant risk analyzer, what does this do? You're able to take the TransUnion risk credit score from the tenant sent report, the financial data that's supplied while the tenant is filling the forms that I'll show you very quickly in a bit, and then using industry ratio and standards to determine a high, medium, and low risk. So basically the system can tell you based on what it has that this person is a high risk tenant, this person is a medium risk tenant, or this person is a low risk tenant. And we've come to the point where I actually get to show you all that magic. I'll jump right out from here and I'll jump into the actual live LeaseConfirm website. This is the landing page when you type the URL or the link. This is what you would see. Let me just scroll down real quick. You're able to filter properties as a tenant. It shows just a bunch of steps to help guide you on your way through the journey using LeaseConfirm. Our pricing, and then just below that is the listings. Now, we will be leveraging this particular one to do a demo. I just want to show you what it looks like real quick. Once you click into it, we have the banner highlighting very boldly what you want the tenant to see first. And some of the features, or all the features that you want the tenant to read, they can read them on the right here. And we're able to upload 20 high quality pictures on LeaseConfirm. If you scroll down here, there's something we've embedded called rating and review. Now, a tenant is able to leave a review on a landlord, which future tenants will see to help them in their decision-making on who to lease with, vice versa. A landlord, after a time, going through the lease tenure with a tenant, can also leave a review and rating on a tenant. This is another way we've built LeaseConfirm to help future landlords to make decisions on tenants from past experiences. And right here, you can see the mapping, and you can do multiple things here. You can actually go and see where you're going as a tenant before you get there. It shows you a real street view of where you're going. Now, I will be able to go back here because I want to go into the accounts now. This is a live website which has a two-factor authentication. So if you see me looking at my phone, it's because I'm trying to get the OTP to type and access the account. So we'll do a walkthrough here. This is just a test account. And the OTP will come in real quick. Don't worry about seeing the numbers. It changes every time, so you're secure. When we get into the account, this is what we're presented with. You get on the landing page, a dashboard that shows you kind of everything you need to see in one view. The amount of properties you own, the amount of active tenants you have, your subscription plan. And when this is coming to an end, the system will trigger and tell you that you need to take care of that, or it auto renews. I'm going to do a journey of what I just showed earlier. I already preloaded a property because I don't want to do all that in front of everyone here, wasting everyone's time. But I'll go into edit so you will see what we've done. This is where you, as a landlord, can list your property. You're able to put your pictures, your property details, the location, everything essentially that you want the tenant to know, you can put here. And it tells you the longitude and latitude, which helps with Google Maps, so your tenants can actually get to the property directly. So I'll just click out of here. We've seen that, and I'll show you the process. This shows you like a list of all your properties, and I'll show you what's happened so far as a tenant, I've already started the process to apply to this property. And I can review all the tenants that apply to my property on this table. And this table is a powerful table in that it tells you a lot about the tenant, and you're able to view profile. Now, every information on the tenant, once we get to that point in the journey of LeaseConfirm, tenants will have information here in this review section to enable future landlords to make decisions. So you can see all the history of past tenants right here. Here is a trigger to inform the tenant to pull a credits report and send that to you. So I've pulled it, it's waiting. It's a live system, so I wouldn't show sensitive information, but I'll show you how it works. And this is where you come back to make a decision after. As a landlord as well, there is an exchange of documents. You can be rest assured that your tenant is applying directly to you on LeaseConfirm. And this is one of the key documents I was referring to. This is a consent form. Based on our integrations or collaborations with third-party companies, we had to create a consent form that enables us to A, get consent to use the credit report, and B, to also report rent to Equifax. The tenants will do that, and this form will come back to you. Now, in this form, you're empowered with the tenant's financial data that will be used to determine their risk ranking. So we have here some numbers that will make sense in one of the next features I'll show you. And they sign it to kind of give you that backing that it is signed by a tenant. I'll jump into the tenant risk analyzer just before we move to the tenant account. So essentially, everything that we've done comes into this page. We're using a test tenant. And once you click that, it pulls all that information into itself. And since you're already empowered with credit information, you can put that number in here and let the system just do its thing. Let's assume this person has a 650 credit score. Their income is $4,000. Their rent that looking to apply to is $2,000, and they have a total debt amount of $1,000. All other information happen on the back end. These are the ones we want to just show right now. And when you click to calculate risk, it tells you automatically that this person is a high-risk tenant. And why is that? They're earning $4,000, but their total expenses is looking to be $3,500. And there are 3 people. They claim they haven't had an eviction record before, a criminal record, but the system still determines them as a high risk. And that is another gate to enable you as a landlord to make that decision. I may not or will proceed with this tenant. But I'll jump right back here because I want to show something else while we're here. This is the feature to report rents to Equifax. It's smart in the sense that when you have a tenant that is approved, it pulls all the information into itself, and then you fill the amount that they paid. If there was any story or issue with the rent, you put it on the form here, and you hit submit at the end. And then our system pushes that information to Equifax to impact their credit score. And lastly, I mentioned that on LeaseConfirm, you're empowered to receive rent from a tenant directly on LeaseConfirm. And this is where you set everything up. You onboard once you complete the registration process, you list your property. One of the next immediate things the system will require you to do is to put your account onto the system. This is a system powered by Stripe, and all considerations for cybersecurity, compliance, and protection as a landlord is on and active. Stripe is a world-powered financial institution, so we have no concerns there. And our system is backed up on the cloud, secured on AWS, and resident in Canada, because we wanted to make sure that we're protecting our users in that sense. Moving on here to the rating and review, which is another key feature here. You will be able to leave a rating and review on, as I mentioned before, your tenants, and they'll be able to do the same thing vice versa. Now, let me jump out of this because I want to jump into the tenant account. Again, forgive my OTP requirement. I'll just change to my other test here, and there we go. Just give it 1 second, and we will be in the tenant account. Now, as I mentioned, these two accounts communicate with each other with every step of the way. So the consent form that I was talking about had to be submitted before we moved into the tenant risk analyzer. And here is where tenants pull their credit report and send it directly to a landlord. This I already pulled. Now, I will just simply here, I'm pretending now to be a tenant. I wouldn't view the report because that's a live report. I just need to click send consent, and I send to a landlord. The system does its thing, and then it tells you it's gone to the landlord's account. Now they have a full report and they have the credit score and they're empowered to do the screening. That is one of the key saving points that we wanted to provide the landlords with, to be able to enable all tenants to pull their own credit reports and send it to the landlords for screening. Additionally, tenants are able to view their rent reporting log. So every report log that you put as a landlord, they can view it. And LeaseConfirm is going to get to the point where tenants themselves are also able to, report their rents themselves with a few check marks and balances to ensure that they're telling the truth. And here is the last feature I want to show today. The tenant, once the landlord sets up his rent amount and sets up his account, the tenant here just simply has to come and plug in their own financial details. And the first thing that happens at the signing of the lease is the first and the last month's rent, as typically as happens in reality, gets deducted automatically. So the system will calculate whatever the amount the landlord put twice, deduct it once, you get that in your account, and then subsequent months, you get the singular deductions. So in this case, a $2,500 rent would be $5,000 for first and last month's rent, and then subsequent months, it will be the $2,500. And essentially, that's the journey of LeaseConfirm in a very short time. But as you would imagine, every action taken, you get an email notification saying, oh, you've done this. When the tenant responds, the system reminds you or tells you that you need to go take action again. And that's how we've simplified the leasing process. And I'll jump very quickly back into the presentation because there's one other thing I want to talk about before we move ahead. Let me just go back into the bigger view here so you all can see pretty clearly. I hope I haven't confused anybody yet. Now, we have designed something called Lease Points Rewards. Now, there is a psychological reason why we created this. As I mentioned before, we're creating an ecosystem where tenants feel rewarded for every action that they take. If it's that they're good tenants that pay rent, we want to be able to give them the opportunity to have that impact their credit score, to be able to do things you can do with credit score. And with every interaction that either a landlord or a tenant has with LeaseConfirm, there's something we call lease points. Lease points essentially enable, on the landlord side, the landlord to gain benefits to either reduce or remove some month payments. It also enables tenants to get things like rent credits or gift cards or whatever rewards that obtains. And that also applies to a landlord. You can also use that to claim gift cards. And this incentive behavior is to positively encourage tenants to pay rent. We would all love it as landlords if our tenants just paid rent and moved on with their daily lives, right? So we wanted to foster that behavior by rewarding them for paying rent. That's the psychological background for having lease points on LeaseConfirm. And the breakdown is as simple as when you list a property as a landlord, you get 50 points. When you engage with a tenant, you get 25 points. And so on and so forth. Every interaction, as I mentioned, earns you points as a landlord and as a tenant. Now, what this translates to on a landlord side is 500 points gets you 1 month free premium plan, which means all of the things that we see, all of the features and integrations that we have, you're exposed to that for that month. And 1,500 gets you 3 months consecutively, and 5,000 points gets you a whole year. And this is the kind of encouragement we want to have both the landlords and the tenants experience. Now, I will very quickly jump back into the story of Sarah. Sarah has, as being a small landlord, now is feeling very confident being a landlord because she knows that she can screen with confidence, sign leases in minutes, and she knows that her tenants are motivated to pay rent on time because he helps them to. And that's the future we're building for every landlord and for every tenant. Peace of mind before the lease and trust reinforced after the lease. And that's essentially what LeaseConfirm is. And the next step for you as landlords is pretty simple. LeaseConfirm is live, so you can all sign up today and register and use some of the already existing rewards that we have today. Here are a few incentives just for joining the session. I see there's about 45 people here, so all of us qualify for some level of reward or another. The first 20 landlords who register on LeaseConfirm, well, I'll say the next 17, just 3 spots are gone, will receive a welcome email with a unique 1-year promo code after registering, giving you access to all of LeaseConfirm and what it offers today. We're also going to give a free limited time access to everyone here who registers. With this promo code, you can actually use this right now to register. It's live. So the $250 per year will go to zero when you apply this. However, it expires by January 1st, 2006. So hurry and go register and list your property now. And all webinar attendees, so all 45 of us, well, minus myself and maybe Rose, get 1,500 lease points to use on LeaseConfirm. And remember, we said 1,500 lease points guarantees 3 months. So for example, those who get the Solo LL 2025 promo code for 3 months get another 3 months, 6 months, just like that. And at the end of the session, there will be 5 winners who will receive electronic $50 Amazon gift card in their mail as soon as we wrap up the session, because we needed to use the people who actually attended to do the raffle draw. And that's the encouragement that we bring into LeaseConfirm. We encourage landlords and tenants, mostly tenants, because we want them to be well behaved. We encourage them for good and excellent behavior so that we as landlords can live happily ever after and always ensure that our properties are safe, our rents are paid on time, and maintain good relationships with our tenants. And that brings us to the end of a very rushed, brief walkthrough of LeaseConfirm. But feel free to ask questions. This is our contact information. You can shoot us an email, call us at any time, and we'll be able to respond to your either technical or support questions. And watch you grow and enjoy your journey being a landlord without fear and concerns and reduced risk going forward.